Welcome to the Thinking Green News Moment. I'm Chris Schneider, and my guest is Al Stankovitz from DayCreek.com. Welcome again, Al.
Well, thank you, Chris. Glad to be here.
Today we're going to talk about a new subject.
Yes.
Cordwood.
Yes.
You brought some with you.
Yes. It's a new subject, but an old technology.
Uh-huh.
Cordwood's been around for a long time. We're not sure exactly how long, but there's been homes in Wisconsin that were built in the 1800s that are still standing today.
Great.
But basically what cordwood's all about is taking pieces of wood, and we like to use softwoods. Typically cedar or pine are the best. And the first thing you want to do with it is to take the bark off. And then once the bark is taken off, you can use the wood in a wall of any kind. Typically, most people that build cordwood walls build a single cordwood wall. The logs are typically 16 to 24 inches in length, and there's a bead of mortar that's put around the outside of the wood and the inside. And what you see are the log ends and mortar around it. And they're typically called a log end house as well as cordwood. And it doesn't have to be a house. It can be all sorts of things.
Shed.
It can be made out of, or it can be a shed. It can be a privy. I've seen privies. I've seen a cordwood cat house. So it runs the gamut. Garden sheds are another popular one. Saunas are another popular one. And basically it's all the same technology of just basically mortaring logs into a wall. Cordwood walls have high thermal mass, which is good, especially if you are planning on building a house that uses solar, either passive with the sun coming through the walls or an active solar system. And the thermal mass that's due to the cordwood and mortar, that thermal mass holds temperature. It acts as a battery. So these walls are very fortress-like. Again, they can be a single wall or they can be a double wall. In my particular case, the house that I built has two cordwood walls, each of 8 inches in length with foam insulation in between. And you end up with a wall that's 24 inches thick and an R value of about R40.
And is that middle barrier, is that a vapor barrier?
It's not actually a vapor barrier. It does help prevent air infiltration through the walls, because when you build a cordwood wall, there is a chance that you can get some cracks through the log ends or a little gap around the mortar. And so if you have something like foam in between, that does block air infiltration. If you were doing an outside shed of some sort, you wouldn't need to go to that extreme, but for a house you might want to consider it, especially in a very cold climate.
What are the environmental benefits of using cordwood, Al?
Well, the environmental thing is you're using a renewable product. You know, trees are renewable. So you're not really using anything that would be detrimental to the environment as long as you're not clear-cutting forests to do it. Even the mortar. This mortar, for example, it's rather lightweight. It's 40% newspaper. So even though we are using Portland cement, we do use some recycled products into the mortar as well, which is good for the environment.
Do you encourage people who are doing smaller projects to use the wood from their property?
Well, if it's softwoods, yes. You know, in this part of the country, we have both softwoods and hardwoods. The problem with hardwoods is they expand and contract too much, so you want to stay away from those. But sure, you know, if someone wants to build something relatively inexpensive, the best way to do it is with their own sweat equity. You know, cordwood is labor intensive, no doubt about it. It takes, you know, man hours to build and you know, take the bark off the wood and cut the trees and so forth. But you can build walls rather inexpensively by doing it all yourself. And if you've got the wood lot to do it with, it makes perfect sense.
What website do you have where people could learn more about cordwood?
My website is www.daycreek.com, as in day of the week and creek is in creek. And I've had this website up and running since 1997 when I started to build this cordwood house. And it's a great place for anyone to want to learn the whole journey. I have a journal that talks from beginning to end how I built the house. There's also a forum on there which is devoted to cordwood. So we get a lot of people from around the world that ask and get questions answered on this forum.
Thank you, Al Stankovitz from DayCreek.com. This is Chris Schneider with the Thinking Green News Moment.